Have you ever met someone on an online dating site and thought, wow, this guy is perfect for me, or she is simply amazing, only to find out they were hiding a deep, dark secret? They plan to vote for Hillary. FreedomLovers.us was created for singles who want to exchange ideas and a love for freedom. People who are looking for solutions to create and defend freedom in the real world, and at the same time, getting that once-in-a-lifetime chance to find their true soulmate. Whether you are interested in meeting your soulmate, making new friends, networking, or hanging out with that like-minded liberty lover, visit FreedomLovers.us. It's the first free dating site and community. So patriots, don't waste your time with other dating sites. FreedomLovers.us is the place where like-minded singles really click.
You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Lucas Zanna on United States.fm network. Here we go, final hour of Love, Guns and Freedom with Lucas Zanna. This is the hour normally I talk about love, and we will talk about love. Today, a different type of love. The love that a mother pretty much shares with her child against, in my opinion, not just a corrupted government. It's really out of control government. A government has no business pretty much to infringe on somebody's right to be able to feed her child the way she wants. Now, a friend of mine, Mr. Andy Mastrocola, he sent me this email, and it's a kind of interesting story. I'm learning right now with you, but I think the best way to learn exactly the story about this family in California, a little town called Visalia, where pretty much it's all about local government, a couple little miniature gods, and the right of a child to drink goat milk. Now, let's see once ago what's going on, and because I think the best person to explain exactly what's going on is the mother. The mother pretty much now she's facing thousands of dollars of fine because she must comply with the little lords there in Visalia, Government, California. Now, her name is Gingi. Gingi, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, Gingi. I've been reading a little bit about you now and trying to learn, but as I said, the best way is to pretty much learn directly from your voice, okay? First of all, tell me a little bit about exactly where is Visalia? Well, am I pronouncing it right? Visalia, California, is that correct?
Yeah, it's Visalia, California. We actually are a little tiny town in the middle of basically the agricultural breadbasket of the world.
Mm-hmm.
A large percentage of foodstuffs come actually out of the Central Valley here in California. But our particular city, Visalia, we haven't actually updated our household pet or, pet ordinances since the 1970s. Mm-hmm. And the current ordinance states that you cannot have any animals other than the basic dog, cat, and birds, with the exclusion of chickens, in the Central Valley. So the way our ordinance is, there are no food-producing animals allowed within the city limits.
Okay.
One
second, Molly. Let me 1 second ask. So the point, just to be understanding for sure, I got it right. Sometimes my accent, I'm kind of slow. Now, so you mean that the city, the ordinances pretty much says that the citizens, in this case the taxpayers/slaves, they are not allowed to have anything but cat, dog, and maybe chickens? That's all you can have?
No, chickens aren't allowed either. There are no food-producing animals currently allowed in our city.
Okay, got it. So, and the reason why is because they did not update this ordinance. Now, question, you have neighbors around you, correct?
That's right.
Anybody's complaining about these two evils, little miniature dwarf gods? Anybody's complaining about these terrorist gods?
Actually, everyone loves my goats. All of my neighbors share a fence with me. They give my goats treats. The girl on the other side of me actually sends her children over to basically learn about animal husbandry. They come over and pet the goats, comb the goats, feed them. They help me clean their stall. all of my neighbors that share a fence with me have actually written letters to our local government asking that they return my goats.
Oh, one second.
My goats have broken no ordinances.
Oh my gosh, 1 second. I'm so excited. I missed a couple steps. So, did they confiscate your goats?
They basically told me I had to get rid of them or I would face a $1,000 a day fine.
Wow.
For every day that I had them.
Okay. All right, this is interesting. Now, let's start to recap because I'm so excited that sometimes it takes a little more time to explain. I went straight to the point. You're a mother, you have a husband, and you have 2 children. How many children do you have?
I have 2 children. I have now she's 9 weeks old and a 20-month-old.
Okay, so you have like a very baby infant, and I think this is the little baby who needs the milk, okay? And so the point is you have those 2 little, how do you call them? I don't want to mispronounce them. This is the breed of these goats. What is the dwarf goats? They're
called Nigerian dwarfs. They're one of the 2 smallest goat varieties on the planet. They're very tiny.
Yeah, I saw them, by the way. I wanted to get some for myself pretty soon. So you got those little, beautiful, cute little goats that pretty much they are better than dogs sometimes. They're less noisy and less dangerous sometimes, okay? I mean, they're cute little animals.
Absolutely.
Okay, they don't do any type of damage to anybody. They don't disturb anybody. Your neighbors, they're all pretty much excited. At least they didn't complain. So now the point is some bureaucrat in the city of Visalia pretty much discovered that you are a criminal, and I'm being sarcastic here, and you have those illegal aliens, Nigerian goats, you know. And I've been sarcastic there too. I'm sure if you were harboring probably 2 people from Nigeria without a visa, they would be fine with that. They would give you a medal. Okay.
Our area being agricultural, actually, we have a lot of illegal immigrants from Mexico that come in all the time.
But nothing to that. Go ahead. I'm sorry. No, not a word said about that. You know, they're so worried about your little Nigerian goats. That's my point. You know?
Mine are the pressing issue. They're the little demons that need to be taken care of. So, it just absolutely boggles my brain that this is such a hard case for Visalia, that this is such a pressing issue that, my goats have broken no ordinances, and I mean, no sound ordinances, no trespass ordinances, no health ordinances. They are model citizens compared to the goats, or to the dogs and cats in my neighborhood. Yeah. But, just because they have hoofs and they feed my children when I'm unable to produce breast milk, that's their only crime. Yeah. So the priorities of our government just blow my mind.
You know, this is not about even priorities anymore. This is about control. You know, the point is, in their mind, we are slaves. And I tell you, I'm not trying to exaggerate. This is true. First of all, you know, on my own property, if what's supposed to be my property, of course, we pay the lease. It's called the property tax, but that's another story. I don't want to go there. What's supposed to be my property, unless I disturb or infringe on somebody else's right, I should be left alone and be pretty much being able to enjoy my life in the peace of my family and everybody else around. Instead, here, the situation is different. The government pretty much tell you what you can have. And if one day you will have probably that privilege, it's not the right to have a goat, like you may have the privilege to have a dog, you must pay, of course, their blood money. It's called the mafia money. Okay, that means the fee for the license. You know, now everybody everywhere in the world, pretty much, American of course included, if you own a dog, you must have the license tag. Okay, just because you own a dog. In some cities now, even the cat must be registered. So the point is, guys, you know, if somebody say, you know, I don't care, I don't have goats. Guess what? Tomorrow they will come probably for your son. That's the bottom line.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so my point is here, first of all, not because it's my business, you know, and nobody else's business. You should have pretty much drink whatever you want, and so your children. But I know there is a good reason. You're a very educated person, and you're aware of what's going on with the food, pretty much invasion of this GMO, genetically modified food. Why do you exactly, why cannot you give a regular breastfeed to your child, and why don't you go for some regular formulas out there?
Well, first of all, I want to say I am so happy to hear you speaking out so bluntly and plainly on this matter. But to answer your question, I was actually born with a birth defect where basically it's called tuberous breast hypoplasia, and the condition alone affects my ability to breastfeed. But when I was a teenager, I underwent a series of surgeries reconstructive surgeries that basically removed all of my breast tissue. So I'm completely unable to breastfeed.
Wow.
And when I first found out that I was pregnant and was looking into ways that I could obtain, food for my newborn, I knew I didn't want to go the route of infant formula because here in the United States, over 90% of infant formulas are made by the big three manufacturers like Johnson, Abbott, and they all have GMOs. They all have actually given money in California to defeat Proposition, I think it was 36, that's to label GMOs.
Wow.
So I don't, and with, we have no labeling of GMOs. Even if something says that it's clean and healthy, there's no guarantee. There's absolutely no guarantee. So I knew I didn't want to go the route of formula. And according to the World Health Organization, the closest milk to human breast milk is goat milk. And again, you run the same problem with goat milk commercially purchased, because if a goat has been fed GMO feed,
exactly.
Whether that's grains or alfalfa, that actually shows up in the milk. And even the American Goat Association, their official journal, just in March of this year, has stated that goats that have been fed GMO, it actually interrupts the way they digest their feed. And the nutrients that would go into their milk just basically gets absorbed. It doesn't get into their milk. And in effect, they have smaller, weaker, and sicker baby goats. So I knew I didn't want to rely on, commercially bought milk. And so the only organic raw goat milk options I found here in the Central Valley where I live is about an hour drive away from me, and it would equal out to about $32 a gallon.
Oh my gosh.
And my children basically drink that in 4 days, 1 gallon in 4 days.
And also another thing, please go ahead, continue, then I'll tell you something. Go ahead.
Yeah, so that just isn't financially feasible for us. So that's why I decided to go ahead and get my goats, because it is the only financially sound method for us to procure the cleanest, safest, healthiest food that I can for my children without being able to breastfeed.
And when did you get them? How long did you have them? Let's see, how many days did you break the law here? Come on.
Well, I basically had them, my righteous civil disobedience.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I had them for about a little over a year. I want to say about 7 or 8 months.
But you must go to Guantanamo.
Before we were told.
I must suggest you for a special room in Guantanamo, because you are definitely a domestic terrorist. You understand the danger of GMO and Monsanto, those our masters out there that they care so much about us having good food for ourselves. And then, of course, you complain about local government that does not allow you, this little privilege to have a couple of goats that pretty much they are very dangerous, by the way. This fresh milk is so bad for you. Now, I've been sarcastic, of course. Now, trying to be serious, because this is a very serious topic. And that's, sometimes I try to keep it cool, and I am pretty calm. But there is a moment that I say, when enough is enough, American people. We call ourselves, I don't call anymore ourselves the land of the free, because we used to, but not anymore. I don't have the type of, brainwashed brain that I say we are land of the free. We are the land of the free, home of the slaves. That's the reality. And I tell you very simply now, how? Look at this case. If now you tell me in a little town of Visalia, California, a mother has not the right to have a couple little miniature dwarf goats, they do not disturb or infringe on anybody else's right, and just to provide a little bit of milk, affordable milk for their family, for her family, and we're supposed to fear the local government, and pretty much this family is facing over $1,000 a day of fines. And they love that stuff like that, because they're going to take you home if you don't pay. That's pretty much what they want. Okay, so bottom line, guys, if you tell me what is the explanation, just because they say so, just because they show the point that you are a slave. And I don't use this word slave very much lightly, because the point slave means at this point that you are not anymore in control of your life. I'm not talking about endangering somebody. I'm not talking about doing some sort of health hazards to others or try to damage somebody else's property. I'm talking about on my own little property. I have 2 little pets that, by the accident, or maybe just because it's nature, these little pets, instead of being dogs or cats, they are little goats, and they make milk. And they give me, who turned you in? How did they find out about your evil plan to have raw milk on your property?
Hold on one second. My little one is interrupting.
No problem, no problem. This is real show, guys.
Sorry, my little one is really excited and is trying to run in the bedroom.
No problem, no problem. I can continue if you want. Keep talking, and I mean, keep taking care of her. I can give a couple of seconds if you need to.
Okay, yeah, no, my husband just took her in the other room. I apologize.
No problem.
She heard me talking in here and was trying to climb in the bedroom. Repeat the question.
Who turned you in? Who was the evil person who turned you in? You were turned in by somebody into the city, I guess, right?
I'm sorry. Say that again. I can't understand the question.
I said, who was the person that pretty much informed the city or the town of Visalia that you were having these evil gods in your home, at your place? Somebody must have.
From what I understand, it was a gal who actually works for the city that lives not on my block, but basically around the block from me and a couple houses down.
Mm-hmm.
She had no idea that I had the goats. It wasn't until she actually she like got up on a step ladder and was looking over her fence when she looked into our yard and saw the goats. So that's from what I understand. As soon as she found out that we even had the goats, but they haven't caused her any problems. She didn't even know we had them for over half of a year. But basically, I wanted to say real quick of what you're saying earlier. It's one thing that I wish I could say to people is I always follow, like InfoWars and Food Freedom USA and, the Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund. And I always hear all these stories of people having their freedoms infringed. And to me, it seems, while I'm fully, well aware of how our government is overreaching and overbearing and really, trying to take control of our lives, you kind of see it from like a spectator's point of view, and you have this kind of insulated thought, like that will never happen to me. Like, yes, I know that's happening in the world, but that'll never happen to me. And so now that I'm dealing with this right now, where I am, the government is trying to tie my hands and say, you don't have the right to your private property. You don't have the right to feed your children the way you want to. It's really, really eye-opening to me. I mean, we used to be a nation where you were free to do anything as long as it wasn't strictly forbidden. Now we basically are forbidden to do anything unless it's strictly allowed.
Yeah.
And that is not what our founding fathers had in mind.
Exactly.
When we created one nation under God,
No, we are one nation under the government. That's the bottom line. But my point is this one, this is very serious, especially for the listeners that they're there. And they may say, after all, I don't even like, this type of milk, as we were talking about. This is not about you, not anymore about the milk itself. It's about that today they're coming for you, my friend. Tomorrow they will come for somebody else for some other reason. And we got to really show to the government, I don't care which government, state, local, or federal, that we are united. And I'm telling you something, I am here for every way we can find this as a peaceful solution, because we got to show that at this point, there is a point that, how much can you give in? How much can you surrender your rights? The point is today, you lose this battle. Tomorrow they will come for another situation. Tomorrow they may say, what, after all, you don't need your cat. After all, maybe you need to pay a fee for your cat too. Or maybe, what, by the way, already I'm aware that in California, correct me if I'm wrong, people that were selling raw milk, like down on the beach, I forgot exactly where, not in Santa Monica, anyway, in California, Los Angeles area, they were raided. You cannot really sell or buy raw milk. Am I right?
Yeah, actually, recently, I believe it was in Humboldt County in Northern California, someone was facing jail time, not even for selling milk, but for bartering raw milk for organic veggies with his neighbor.
Yeah.
And that was about last year, I believe, that happened.
That's my point. I mean, look where we are right now. People out there, please, even if maybe you're not really interested into this, you think, after all, you go buy, shop your food wherever you want, that's fine. But think about if you believe in freedom. We're supposed to be the first piece of real estate that we have, the moment that we are born. I don't care how rich you are or how poor you are. We all have one thing in common that we're supposed to own. It is our body, okay? And the moment that somebody else claim ownership over our body, and in this case, the food, I'm not allowed to eat the food I choose, because government says so, because they decide what is best for me. means slavery, as simple as that. There is no other way to cut it. The moment the government will tell you what is good for you to eat, when you are over 18, you are pretty much in the full awareness of your understanding. It's not like you're a minor, you don't understand. I'm supposed to eat rat milk if I want to, okay? Forget about raw milk. I'm going to go straight for rat milk mixed with cyanide, and I'm going to make a cocktail if I want to. And you, government, leave me the heck alone. It is my body, okay? That's my bottom line, guys. This is so powerful. I mean, this is so sad. Now, the show is called Love, Guns, and Freedom. I always say, the first thing we need to have is love, because without love, there is no motivation to do anything, and there is no freedom. If there is no love, how can you even motivate yourself to do what you're doing? You love your children, you love your child, you want to give her good milk, you don't want to give her that garbage stuck in that boxes, probably created by sub-products, and not even my dogs I would feed with. All this formula, they're full of sugar, full of fats, and full of GMO soy that is dangerous for even animals consumption, for God's sake. Forget about humans. And they try to force you to do that. That's all you can give to your child, especially with your medical condition. Shame on this local government of Visalia. At this point, this show is not just to make you freak out or entertain you or try to get you some, oh my gosh, no. Every one of us, me included, we have the duty to do something. First of all, we need to learn the facts, and I'm glad you're here sharing it with us. Second of all, we must do our researches. I invite everybody to call the city of Visalia to verify what's going on here, because there is a beautiful phone number that I've seen here, and I'm going to give it right now. City Council of Visalia, California, the concerned town that is so worried about those two evil little miniature dwarf gods. They're endangering all the city, according to them. The phone number is 559-713-4512. 559-713-4512. And by the way, I would like to have, whenever you can, Gingi, to send me a photo of these very dangerous gods, because I need to post them on my website, lovegunsfreedom.com, so everybody can understand what type of danger you're creating for the society there with those two little evil miniature gods, okay? So send me the photo, we'll post them out.
Absolutely.
So every one of us should call, the call is still free. We still have a First Amendment, supposedly, okay? Don't be, don't tell them that you're going to beat them up or things like that. We are peaceful people. We are believing in, the rule of law, but also we believe in the First Amendment. Don't go crazy. I understand sometimes the rage can be very passionate, but we keep it cool, but at the same time be stern. These people are public servants. They work for us. And I will call myself 559-713-4512. And even if you don't live in Visalia, it doesn't matter. We're still American people. This woman is still one of us, okay? We are brothers and sisters together in this nation, and we got to take it back together. So that's the first thing I would like to do. Second thing I wish you can do, my listeners, I will post on today's show, lovegunsfreedom.com. For every show, I post also a page of the show. There is a link or GoFundMe, exactly about this case, making mini gods legal in Visalia, California. And you need exactly, at least you post as a goal, $3,598. Exactly for what? Can you explain us?
Yeah, basically, in order for me to have the ordinance rewritten in our city to allow miniature goats, I have to basically pay for the legal fees of having the ordinance rewritten. And the city does have the power to waive this fee. They've actually waived the fee before for whenever the city council members have had personal projects they'd like to see done. They've waived this fee for each other. But in my case, they're not willing to waive the fee. So if I want to move forward to have this law rewritten, they're going to charge me $3,598, and that is non-refundable if they decide they don't want to pass it after all. So what we're trying to do, what I would like to see, is if the community could really step forward, step up, contact the city, let them know that this isn't just a matter of someone wanting her pets back. This is a matter of me trying to feed my children as best I can. This is a human rights issue. This is, this goes far, far beyond just, owning some cute, fluffy goats. And they are very cute. But they basically, we're going to be meeting at the next city council meeting on June 1st and appealing to the city one more time to waive this fee. If the fee is not waived, we are going to continue to try to fundraise and get these. I mean, I personally cannot afford this exorbitant fee. It's really extortion money, is what it is.
Yeah. How many people?
The taxpayers.
Excuse me. How many
I'm
people?
sorry?
How many people live in Visalia, California? How many residents?
About 120,000.
Wow, it's a big town. I didn't know that. It's kind of a big town. You know, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You know? And so, you know, any help from local newspapers?
The local newspaper has covered our story a number of times. Of course, it's been a little downplayed. We had a rally when this first happened. I met at City Hall to let them know what was going on. And we had a rally of well over 50 people, and the newspaper reported that we had like around 30. So it was kind of downplayed a little bit. We have had a little bit more coverage. They did cover that the city was choosing not to waive that fee. And since then, we have had a lot of public backlash and a lot of public outcry. I've been going to the local farmers market with some miniature goats so people can see them firsthand and see how tiny they are. And ever since we've been doing that, we've been getting a lot more local support. So I'm starting to get fairly optimistic that we can make this happen. We can basically, appeal to them. And it kind of makes me laugh because our mayor actually has on his website, stevenelson.com. He has on his website, we may not always agree, but, I'm old-fashioned in my politics. I work for you. I'm here to serve you. And I find that interesting because our community is overwhelmingly, like I call it pro-goat and pro-chicken. We want the right to have food-producing animals on our property. We recently have had city hall meetings where people have come out in hordes and just taken up the entire public comment session saying, we want chickens, we want goats, we want the right to be self-reliant and self-sufficient. And his record so far is 100% voting against food-producing animals. He votes against them going on the agenda. He votes against waiving the fees for ordinance changes. And so I find it really interesting that he, prides himself on being, here to serve the people, because from my angle, from my perspective, and, from coming to the city council meetings, the city council is not listening to the citizens of Visalia. They're not listening to the majority, overwhelming majority, that wants basically their property rights back, their right to property, their right to privacy, to freedom, food freedom.
This is very serious. What I'm here, first of all, I'm looking at the face of this leader. And, it looks so pompous on his face. I'm not trying to be mean, seriously. Sometimes I can see the aura of what is inside from the shell. The shell, it looks like a jackass. Seriously, this is just me talking, okay? Please don't blame it. Steve Nielsen, the mayor of Visalia, don't take it on this lady. It's me. My name is Zanna. You look like a plain hardcore jackass, okay? And honestly, I don't want to offend the jackass, okay? You are just worse than everything I can see. You're a pompous, arrogant, seriously, because the fact, or you're just arrogant, you're a power trip, or you're paid off by somebody else. Oh, I don't know. Maybe we'll figure it out. But something's wrong. Something's really wrong with this little town of California. And I'll tell you something, I always put in this order: love, then there is guns, and there is freedom. The first thing, love, as you say, you're the mother, and you're making the example. You're sharing your love for freedom, and also for your family, of course, for a principle, the principle we're talking. Number two, we must be aware, of course. That's what we're trying to do, bring awareness. Then there is a point. They're all tyrants. I don't care in which part of history, when, or which part of the world. And California right now is leading the example exactly how much they are tyrannical towards the citizens and the residents. They want you disarmed. They want you completely castrated, not just mentally, but also physically. The point is, if there is an armed population with knowledge, the first weapon, it's knowledge. You must know your rights, otherwise you have no rights. But after that, you must have the tools, because the point is, tomorrow the government can say, you know what, I don't want to just forbid the right or your right to have a milk from some cows or whatever. Maybe we want just to take your property, or maybe we're going to pass a new tax. It's going to be so impossible to pay that you're going to lose your home. The sky is the limit. They're pretty much declaring ownership over your body. So my point is this, I'm coming to this point. The next thing we should have after we have love and knowledge, it's guns. Because guns in the arm of law-abiding people, and I'm not talking about the laws that these scumbags they're trying to pass through their sewer pipe of the city council or whatever. I'm talking about godly laws, laws that they're still within the boundaries of our Constitution and Bill of Rights. Okay, because even Hitler passed laws. That doesn't mean that they were constitutional, they were human laws. They were the devil's laws, okay? So that's my point. The moment that there is a point, a fine line, people need to understand, they need to stick together. We don't look for violence, we look for peace, but also we look for dignity. And we have the right to defend our dignity and defend our property. So we'll never go, speaking for myself, I would never I will never use a weapon as a first person. But the moment that you force me, and I said this many times on this show, that you treat me like a slave, and I say one more time, it's not just about coming to take our guns. You come on my property, you try to put a meter on my well, that's going to be the last day I see this be on the planet, because probably I'm going to be dead after a few minutes, but I will not comply. Simple as that. I'm on record. Same story with guns. I live in the Golden Valley area, Mojave County. It's a county area. Thankfully, we can have everything we want still. But no, I'm not going to comply with things that they're out of this mind. Just because they say jump, I'm not going to jump. But the point is, instead of coming to this point that we need to face extreme situation, when all the neighbors, all your friends, all your family, more important, the residents of the city of Visalia understand the gravity, stick together, just showing up in numbers. Stop this. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I think that a lot of people underestimate that real change and asserting our rights and reclaiming our rights is very achievable. And not only is it achievable, it's our duty. If you don't fight for your rights, they will be taken from you. It's actually shameful to see how far we've handed away our rights to every level of government, municipal, local, state, federal. It's frightening. And I have already seen kind of a change in tone in our city. When I first started gathering people together to fight this, at first they kind of brushed us off. Now all of a sudden they're paying a little bit more attention because, the paper has commented on this multiple times. Everyone in our city knows about it. I was actually in the store the other day and someone stopped me and said, "Hey, you're that girl whose goats were taken. How's that going? I'm rooting for you." And the thing is, if everyone who is rooting for me, so to speak, or who is concerned about this were to actually show up at City Hall or pick up their phone and call the elected leaders, we would see change. We would see our rights coming back, turning back around. If we are, seeing our rights slip away, we have no one to blame but ourselves. Complacency is the equivalent of servitude when you really look at it.
Exactly. This is really no difference, my dear friends, listeners, from the time of the Middle Ages when there was the Lord out there and you were wanted to, for example, let's say you want to go hunt, and you must ask for the permit, of course, of fish into the Lord's land. And then when you come back, you must give half of your game or whatever you get out there to the Lords. In this case, you still must beg for a permit, even to have the most basic human rights. We're talking about a little bit of food, little bit of milk from some, very inoffensive, little goats. And this is just one of the many things. Now, I want to say one more time, there is a phone number that I don't care where you're from, if you're from New York, if you're from Michigan, if you're from Mars, I don't care. You got to call this number. I will call myself as this bastard's open office on Monday. The number is 559-713-45112. Excuse me, 12. 559-713-4512. This is City Council of City of Visalia, Visalia, California. A little town, not really little, 100,000 people, that's big enough for me, too big, but that's okay, where pretty much they're denying the basic right to have a couple of little goats, miniature goats, no complaints out there, nobody's, everybody's happy, all the neighbors is okay. But, these goats, they are very also for a good mission. There is a little kid who needs milk, and the mother cannot provide milk because of a physical problem that she had in the past. So she must rely on this milk to avoid to give some garbage, GMO, soy base or whatever base they put in this crap from the stores. So that's pretty much the sample. This is for me now in the hour of love. I want to make like a mission. If we love freedom, if we love this little child, if we love the situation that this mother is trying to do, and tomorrow can happen to you guys, we gotta help out. Okay, let's start with a phone call, and then I say I will put on here on this lovegansfreedom.com the site where there is GoFundMe. You know, unfortunately, the city is playing game. You know, they want $3,500 a change to just review this new change of ordinances, okay, or whatever it is. So we gotta help out if we can. I mean, I myself, I donate a little bit today, but the point is, let's do something. I mean, let's not be selfish. Let's not just go back to our regular life. This is too important. Now, I want to let you go the floor, give you 2 more minutes, whatever you want to say, please. Go ahead.
I think we pretty much covered it. I really, really do appreciate you bringing awareness to this, and I really am floored by how supportive everyone has been in the community. I do get some people that say, oh, well, I'm not from your city, so it doesn't concern me, and while I'm deeply sympathetic, I don't think it's my place to call or to email, but I think that is entirely the wrong way to look at this. I mean, we are a community, and I think as patriots, honestly, it is our right and our duty to stand up for freedom. When you see someone, what is that old adage where I saw someone being oppressed and I didn't say anything, and then now when someone's taking my rights, who's going to stand up for me? And I mean, basically that's what it really comes down to. I'm in a very upsetting, really, position. It's very frustrating. I feel helpless. I feel desperate. I'm looking at, you know, my options, and I feel like I'm being oppressed. I feel like I'm at my wit's end. I don't know what to do, and I'm doing my best to fight for my freedom and, you know, human rights to property. And it would mean so much to me if fellow Americans would stand up and stand beside me and help me in this fight. And I truly believe that if enough people spoke up and if enough people spoke out, we could, you know, like, I mean, it's so silly in the scheme of things. It's 2 little goats. But I truly think that we can change the local law here in Visalia. And I think that anyone, anywhere can call and help make a difference. And it would really, really mean a lot to me as a mother, as an American. It would mean the world to me if someone would take the time and just join me in this fight. So,
Gingi,
you know, I'm not standing here alone.
Gingi, a little bit off topic, but not really. It's all connected. Are you familiar with this new, very freedom-loving, I've been sarcastic, of course, new piece of legislation coming from Sacramento, California, where pretty much they will declare your children property of the state. That means that they will own their bodies, and they will force vaccine your child, when he goes to public school.
Yes.
So
SB 277, I'm very, very, very well aware of that. We are, actually, my husband and I are in the process of, yesterday, we actually attended a protest against that particular piece of legislation. We are, I was homeschooled growing up, as was my husband, and we do intend to homeschool our children, so as it stands right now, it technically doesn't apply to us. They have strict religious exemptions, and if anyone wants to take their child to daycare or to public school, they have to be vaccinated. And this is such a infringement on rights. I mean, I get worked up and frustrated when I talk about this particular issue. But why we're fighting so hard, even though it doesn't apply to us, is because it may not apply to us today, but if they keep on winning these victories and these rights, not only over our bodies, but now over our children's bodies, what's going to stop it from now homeschool isn't exempt? You know, this is, if someone doesn't stop this, it's going to just continue and continue and continue. So yeah, my husband and I are actually very well aware of that piece of legislation.
I'm surprised that you still have the right to homeschool your children in California. Seriously, I heard stories that's getting harder and harder. Like, for example, in Germany now, it's pretty much forbidden, you know, verboten, as they say, you know, you can't homeschool anymore because the child belongs to the state. That's the bottom line. That's the way it works in Cuba. That's the way it works in China, and it used to work in Germany, and now it'll work also in the new America with a K under this global government. Pretty much, that's what they want. You know, I'm telling you.
Well, you know what's scary is, like, people currently in office. I mean, the Obamas, Michelle Obama, they view, and Hillary Clinton, they view children as property.
Yes.
They view the children as belonging to the government. You know, they are not, the family unit to them is basically just another cog in the giant wheel to earn them more revenue.
Yeah.
And they see you as churning out little servants for them, and they can decide what you feed your child. They decide what you put into your child's body.
It is,
and
it makes
it's a completely
sense.
different mindset.
It makes sense. You know why? Because they pretty much need collateral. You know, the first of all of the tyrant, in this case, you know, a Trojan horse like them, these people working for international bankers. First of all, they need to run the credit card to the max. Okay, so they pretty much they putting us out of business. You know, trillions of dollars, impossible to repay for generations. And at that point, what happens? In the moment that you're born, you are part of the collateral. The moment that you're born, your labor the next 40, 50, 60 years, whatever they're going to decide to make you work, pretty much going to go back to the Federal Reserve, the private Federal Reserve, to pay the interest on the debt that these scumbags, they sold us out for. So that's the part of the plan. But as I said, you know, it's all connected, my dear friends. And I want to applaud, I really commend you and your husband, to be courageous, to stand up as a family for your children, for your property rights. And I pray somehow maybe some act of God, you know, put some sort of fear into these evil spirits of the city of Visalia, councilmen and public servants. Question, you know, there is a mayor, and there are, how many councilmen do you have there? How many of these people?
We basically have the mayor, the vice mayor, and 3 council members.
Everybody's on the same page. They all hate these gods. I mean, nobody said, maybe we can talk a little bit about anybody workable.
Well, you know, first of all, none of them were talking to me, like, at all. They basically foisted me upon the city planners and said, they'll explain the process to you. And then they told me, oh, well, the council member said that we're not going to waive the fee, and you have to pay us just shy of $4,000. Well, since I've gotten more vocal, I personally have still not spoken to the council member, Collins, who was interviewed by the paper. But just a couple of days ago, our paper did another article and said that they interviewed Councilmember Collins and asked him, would you be willing to make the motion to basically waive this fee and get this ordinance changed? And he had stated in the paper, you know, I would be willing to if they asked me to do that. Well, we already did ask that last month, and we got shoved aside. So we're going to be asking again on June 1st. But it sounds like now he's a little bit more open to sponsoring this, and because we need a council member to put it on the agenda.
Wow.
It's either I have to pay $4,000 to put it on the agenda, or they have to take the initiative, listen to the citizens, and put it on the agenda themselves.
Wow.
So it sounds like now he is open. I have sent him a personal email asking if I could have, you know, a one-on-one private conversation with him, or a face-to-face, and discuss this in a little bit more detail. I still haven't heard back. I mean, in their defense, it is a holiday weekend. I haven't, you know, I sent this email on Friday night, so, you know, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's them brushing me aside, or if they just haven't been in the office. So I'm open to, I'm anxiously watching my inbox coming week to see if I get any responses. But June 1st is when we are going to be getting a rally together, going back to the city council, asking them one more time, please put this on the agenda, do your job, use your discretionary funds that have been provided for by the taxpayers who want to see this law change. We want the right to have small, responsibly owned, eco-friendly, food-producing animals on our private property. I mean, you know, they're not hurting anyone, and the way I view it is my rights end where another's begins. As long as my animals are not infringing on anyone else's rights on their private property, what is the problem?
Exactly.
This is a victimless crime, so to
Gingi,
speak. You know what I mean?
Are you familiar with Agenda 21, Gingi? And do you have any idea if your town of Visalia, California, pretty much applied to ICLEI, ICLEI? It's part of Agenda 21. Are you familiar with that?
I am familiar with Agenda 21, although only recently, when all of this started with the goats, I kept hearing people making comments about it, and normally I'm actually very up to date on these things, and for some reason I had actually never heard of Agenda 21 until this whole thing went down, with the goats went down.
Okay.
So
let me
I'm
tell
just
you.
now becoming up to speed.
Let me give you some interesting news, okay? They will never call it Agenda 21 at local level, because otherwise people are freaking out. But there is you have to call under the legal, I mean the wars, the special wars, okay? Sustainable development. Now, I'm here on the website called proinc2.info and shows the ICLEI members, and I will send it to you because it's something important, and it seems like Visalia is part of Agenda 21, okay? So here we go. Let me tell you right now, I am exactly, this is the list of ICLEI members, that they're pretty much, these members under ICLEI, they don't call Agenda 21, they call ICLEI, and there is a website, ICLEI, the name of the, and you go there in United States, there are all the members from all the different parts of the world, and you go there, United States of America, and let me tell you this right now, and I see here, Visalia, California. This is part of Agenda 21. And that makes sense. Normally what happens, all the members of the city council of the town that applies to Agenda 21, in this case under ICLEI, they have pretty much directives. This is not an accident that they've been playing jerks with you. It is not an accident they're trying to stop you to pretty much have this ordinance reversed. It's not an accident they're trying to fine you thousands of dollars. The idea of Agenda 21, that we are slaves and the government, in this case global government, control the resources, starting from the little milk you can have, or the water in your well that is not yours, or even the grass over your yard. So is this something new to you, that Visalia is part of Agenda 21?
Yeah, this is actually, I've heard some people make similar comments, but prior to this starting, it had never even crossed my radar.
Yeah, and now I said, because they will never send this, they will never tell you, the keyword that they use now in these local governments, they call sustainable development, okay? And you will see, I'll send it to you right now, the link, and you will see there is a list somebody was able to get, because now if you go to the ICLEI website, they block. You must have a password to have access of the name of the cities in the US that they are part of Agenda 21. But somebody was able to infiltrate it and to post this information on the link I just sent you. And I will post this link
I'll
also
definitely check it out.
And today, and I will start to ask to these public servants, not leaders, they're public servants. You know, they think they're lords. The point is, I would like to ask them: are we familiar with the ICLEI? Are we part of ICLEI? Are we part of the sustainable development? And they need to give you an answer. This is no more some sort of a private business that they're running. So, and I tell you, this makes all sense now. The way they're going at treating you right now, like a bunch of slaves, begging just to have a couple of little gods on your property. This is exactly the example how every one of us will be treated under this United Nations global fascism. Now, I want to thank you again, and please keep me posted how it goes the first, and I'll send you, of course, all my support, and I'll try to share this with everybody out here and around, because this show doesn't go just on the radio, on K-Talks 1340 AM, also on the internet. I pray you listeners share it. More important, do your job, do your duty. Call these bastards at the city of Visalia. Let them know that we are aware. And there is a point that they pretty much, you know, we point the spotlight on these roaches, and sooner or later they need to come back home. They need to understand that they still live on planet Earth. They are not living on Mars. This is pure tyranny. And at least we must speak up and stand up against tyranny. Thank you very much. My best to you, your family, and your husband. My prayers are with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. And you're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Lucas Zanna. Don't go away. Little bit about little news and little more love.
If you love wealth better than liberty, the tranquility of servitude than the animated contest of freedom, go from us in peace. We ask not your counsels or arms. Crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. May your chains sit lightly upon you, and may posterity forget that you were our countrymen. The line in the sand, you know the time is coming. The line in the sand, are you going to watch while we're fighting? The line in the sand, just tell me now where you're going to stand. How much more you gonna take it? How much more you gonna fake it? Now you Decide what you'll do when they come. They'll come for you. Seconds before midnight.
In the Sand, music and lyrics by myself, Gianluca Zanna. I remind you, if you want to support the show, it's very simple. It's just 99 cents if you want to, or more, depends, it's up to you. I'm not relying on corporate sponsors, of course they're always welcome, but I rely on the listeners, because my goal is to keep this message as free as possible and not be conditioned by any type of special interest, simple as that. If you want to support the show, when I say 99 cents, why? Because you can download this song or other more than 100 songs that I've wrote and produced going to my website, www.zanna.us. And guys, let me tell you something, the beautiful thing about the radio in general, especially private radio, and I'm not talking about things like NPR, that pretty much they're still part of it, their funds through tax dollars, okay, without your consent. Private radio, it's free, or at least it's free for you, because private companies and private sponsors support it. Let's support it, especially talk radio. I think it's very important. Now, we are at the end, I would like to talk more about many things, but I realized that I wanted just to let this song play, because at this point, after you hear to the story of this family in Visalia, California, they were pretty much, they're treated like slaves. This mother has no more the right to feed her child, with the natural, milk from the two little goats, okay? They need to go through all these loopholes and pretty much beg to their new lords. This is like the time of the Middle Ages. Used to have the lord, the king, the underlords. Nothing really changed. The only difference is now, these lords, we elect them. We elect the new lords. Some of these people, they forgot. They're supposed to be public servants. And by the way, and there is the connection. And I found out, this lady wasn't really aware, but I'm glad we found out talking about it. Visalia, it is under ICLEI. It is part of Agenda 21. I found the official website. Just Google it. Put on Google if you want to any other search engine. Put Visalia, California, ICLEI, ICLEI. This is part of Agenda 21. That's why they want to control the resources. That's why they want pretty much also deny the right to have a little bit of organic food. And it's not going to be just about the goats or the chickens. It will be also your garden. They want to control that. People that are going to jail in the cities because instead of growing flowers, they're going to grow, they're trying to grow, for example, tomatoes. And now you need to have a special permit. Guess what? only slaves have permit to grow food for their own personal sustainment. We are not slaves. That's the bottom line. And we gotta stop this. We gotta start really to stand up. You know, if I can give you my personal humble opinion, how we can take this country back, how can we stop all this tyranny? First of all, we need to completely destroy their system. They want you to be dependent on their system. So start to, first of all, be aware, be educated. Do you really need that type of, GMO food at the store? Do you really need that dirty water, dirty water that pretty much is called, Coke or Pepsi or whatever? Why do you need that? Why do you need to make these people rich while they're poisoning you? They put in corn syrup, GMO corn syrup, or aspartame, or, water that only God knows what it's made for, or this meat full of completely estrogen and antibiotics and hormones. Educate yourself. And these vegetables, don't give that type of power to this corporation like Monsanto to put poison into you. Grow your own stuff. Let's put them out of business. Every one of us, if tomorrow we could start just few vases, forget about a big garden or a big yard, just get some vases, and instead of growing roses or other flowers, grow food. That would be the first thing. Grow food and learn. Start to control the quality of the water that you drink. Get some good purifying system. Don't drink the chlorine-filled water with probably with probably fluoride from the cities. Be sure that you drink good water. Stay away from TV. Cut them off. Close that cable TV. Put them out of business. People like O'Reilly or Madoff, all these overpaid whores for the New World Order, put them out of business. Don't watch them. And then, more important at the end, buy a rifle. Buy a rifle and train. And draw your line in the sand. You gotta draw your line in the sand, because the moment that they will say they come to get your children, and they will come pretty soon now in California, they knock at your doors to give a forced vaccination, or they come to get your animals, or they come to control your water, like this global socialism, this global New World Order communism agenda to destroy the individual and the individual rights. We gotta start to stand up. First, you stand up for yourself and for your family, and then united we can stand up for America. That's my humble message to you. And this is serious, guys. So if you want to break this machine, let's start to create our own independence in our own families. Let's grow food, let's get educated, let's be self-efficient, and let's be armed. Armed with honor and knowledge. That's my point. So you've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Lucas Zanna. God willing, I'll talk to you next Sunday. If I don't see you, if I don't hear you, maybe something happened, but hopefully not. Ciao.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.